Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.
Y'all ready for this?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another year of fantasy baseball. I am super excited. This year is going to look a tad different because, unfortunately, we did drop a league, but we picked a new one up. We will explain that here in a little bit. If you have never joined us for my fantasy videos, I will go through each team, talk about whether we won or lost for that week. I'll talk about the overall records for the year and talk about the positives and negatives when it comes to particular players or team in general. Sometimes we have really good hitting as a team. Sometimes we have really bad hitting or really good pitching or really bad pitching. We'll also talk about the adds and drops, and at the very end I will talk about people I think you should add from the waiver wire. Now obviously it's coming out Tuesday. Sometimes it comes out a little later. I try not to let that happen, but life comes at you really fast, especially when you have two kids. So it's important that you have patience with me, but then also keep in mind I am not an expert. I just really love fantasy sports, and I do fantasy football, do fantasy baseball. I did fantasy basketball one year, and I kept Kobe in my lineup the whole time, and I ended up coming in 8th, so it really wasn't all that great, but we're going to focus on fantasy baseball now. The first team we're going to talk about is a Roto League. That means it is a rotisserie league. It goes year-round, so there's no week-to-week. It's just make sure you accumulate as many stats as possible. And this league also does have cutoffs, so 162 games for every position, and then also 1,450 innings pitching. My goal in previous years was to go very strong when it comes to holds and saves to start the year. And as you continue to build up that lead, then you can go into strikeouts and you go into wins and hopefully not too many losses. That also helps with your whip and ERA because hopefully you don't have terrible closers or at least relief pitchers, and you can afford a little bit of a clunker here or there. But for this week, the Cheese Weasels are in 5th place with 95 points. At one point in time, I was actually first overall with 105 points. But this league is rolling, it is fluid, and so I could jump up or I could fall down week after week, day after day, really. But the important thing to remember is this is I don't want to say small league. There's like 10 or 12 players, and each roster only has about 20 spots. So with that being said, there are some really good players on the waiver wire, and there are some players you're like, oh my gosh, I should pick him up. But in the grand scheme of things, you have to look at this category, that category, or what's coming up. So again, you're going to see me pick up players who are like, how is he available? And drop players like, what do you mean? Why are you dropping him? So just bear with me. I say I kind of know what I'm talking about, but not always. I've never won this league. I've actually only ever come in like 2nd or 3rd, so we're going to have to change that. But in any case, we have some great players starting out. We had Yordan Alvarez doing pretty Yordan Alvarez things. 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 12 walks, 1 solo base for good measure, and was hitting over 400. Zach Neto also had a pretty great start to the year. 3 home runs, 9 runs scored, 8 walks, 1 stolen base. He's also only hitting 230. Moving on to pitching, Framber Valdez had a pretty good first start as a Tiger. He had a win, 10 strikeouts, and has a sub-1 ERA. That's what's up. Ebony Uribe had 3 holds, while Paul Sewald had 3 saves. Moving on to the other side. Let's go ahead and start with what I missed. I missed home runs by Mr. Zach Neto, Christian Yelich, and Sal Frelick. I also did start Mr. Paul Skeens, who had a 67 ERA after 2/3 of an inning. Good gosh, shortest inning of his career. That was bad. He bounced back. Clearly he bounced back because he's Paul Skeens, right? Also had 2 blown saves by Jeff Hoffman and a 23+ ERA by Brian Abreu. These relievers will absolutely kill you if you let them. On opening day, we had home runs from Sal Frelick and Alec Bohm, then nothing. We have no power from Taylor Ward and no average from Stephen Kwan. What's going on here? And due to the adds and drops, there are some NA spots and some IL spots. So some of these guys are going to be on the IL for a little bit, or they're in the minors. We picked up Spencer Jones, and we also were able to pick up Logan Henderson, both going to NA. Then for the IL, we had Spencer Schwallenbach and Corbin Burns. To add speed on the base pass, we picked up Chandler Simpson. To pick up saves, we picked up Paul Sewald, and we also picked up Cody Ponce because he was supposed to have a good start, and then tore his ACL. So cool. As we do to the drops, Spencer Schwallenbach because we needed someone in the IL spot. Also Cody Ponce and then Robert Garcia. Overall, this is a pretty good first week and some change. I'm not too terribly worried about it. This is a very long season. I'm going to jump up to first again. I'm probably going to fall to as low as maybe 8th or 9th or something like that in this league. But again, it only matters at the end of the year. So now we're going to move on to the Peach Creek Purgatory team. Now, I am absolutely on a mission this year to get back to being number one. I took this team over 2 years ago, well, technically 3 years ago, and it was like the last week of the season and I did decently well because I was taking over the worst team in the league. I don't know how they were the worst team because they have some pretty good players. Well, 2 years ago, I won the league. Woo, worst to first, baby. Last year, I got cute in the semifinals and somehow lost. I had outscored everyone in this league by like 2,000 or 3,000 points. Then in the finals, I would have outscored the actual individuals who played in the finals by like 500 or 600 points. So I'm upset. I tried to get too cute with it. I really got cocky. So we are absolutely going to put it all in this year. We got to come out on top again. But before we get to week one, we're going to talk about the draft. You might think, wow, why are we talking about the draft now? You put out videos because this is a slow draft. This has a league with, I think, 10, 12 guys, and each person had 40 keepers. This is super deep. Mariana Trench deep. So we only had 3 rounds. And what we would do was the commissioner would open up the player pool. We would add who we wanted and drop who we didn't want to make room. Well, you can skip your pick if you would like, but here's the thing. We communicated via email or ESPN Messenger. My first pick was Eli Willits, shortstop for the Nationals. I know he's very young, and there's a guy named CJ Abrams who is doing really good to start the season off, so he's not going to be coming up anytime soon, but this is what you do in that league. You think like 2, 3, 4 years ahead, maybe more, you know? My second pick was Max Muncy. Not the one I already had, the third baseman for the Dodgers, but the second short and third base eligible Max Muncy from the Athletics. And then my third pick was Sung-Man Song. He is a KBO player. He's third baseman, plays for the Padres, and last time I checked, there's a pretty good third baseman already for the Padres. So this guy probably won't get playing time, but again, this is thinking down the road. He's not Murakami good, but he's supposed to come with some low power, right? So let's go ahead and get to week 1 results. I won 1,349 to 1,247. It may not have seemed close, but going into the last day, I was kind of nervous because you could have started 21 guys over these 2 weeks, and I was only sitting at like 7 after the first few days. I was like, holy crap, this is not going to be great for me. I need to pick up some starting pitchers because I was so focused on getting guys who were position players because there's a ton of positions. So like, wait a minute, let's get some pitchers. So I was able to make a few adds and drops, and we were able to make it happen. Our top scorer was Yandy Diaz with 96 points, followed by Max Fried with 91, and then my boy Matt Olson with 71. Then there were some guys who did not do as well, and I'm really glad I was able to overcome those poor performances. First one was Ian Seymour Butts. One of his first appearances, he got like negative 15 or something. I was like, dang, man. Ian Seymour Butts is not doing good for me, but he was able to make it up and eventually had, I think, like 3 or 4 for the week. So better than nothing, better than negative 15, right? And another poor performance from a reliever. Jose Alvarado had negative 9. Oh, gosh. But he was able to make it up and get like 1 point for the week. But the worst was Carlos Estevez. 1 appearance, negative 21 points. He gone, like he's on the IL, like I didn't drop him or anything, but like, yeah, that's frustrating. For individuals who picked him up as a closer, he was already one of my 40 keepers, so I wasn't too terribly weird about it. Yeah, dip in velocity, I was not touching him in leagues where I drafted him, but if I was able to pick him up, which we'll keep that in mind for later, I did, because he might come back, right? Yeah, I'd rather be safe than out of closer, right? I'm not going to list off all the adds and drops. You can see them. They're going to be somewhere here. There's a long list of them. I think it's important to keep in mind this is a good start, but there's still a lot of time left. I hope that my guys can perform like they did last year and the year before that, because I have most of the same players. It's also going to be important that I keep the pitching static. What do you mean static? I mean, don't try to get too cute with it. For example, this past week, I picked up Keider Montero because Verlander went on the IL. Well, Montero's not terrible, and he had a decent matchup, okay? But I'm not going to go out and pick, every single person playing the Marlins or every single person playing the Rockies, because that backfired. Bryce Elder, you lost me that. Anyway, point being, I'm not going to try to get too cute with it. Stick with what I got. I have really good players. Let's make them make the plays. Let's make them score the points. If I need to pick someone else, I will. But I have a pretty good team right now. Let's keep it that way. let's go towards another championship. The next league we're going to jump to is the one I've been in the longest. I think this marks the 15th year I've been in this league, which is wild. The Kent Murphy Dingers. Week 1 was unfortunately one of those 4-day weeks, and I just couldn't get anything going. I lost 1-8. We did tie in stolen bases. I lost by 1 win and 1 strikeout, and I was relatively close with ERA and WHIP, but it really didn't help that Logan Webb didn't look sexy. Didn't help that a few relievers who just couldn't get going. But you know what did help me, and I still couldn't overcome it? The fact that my opponent had Paul Skeens. Good Lord. And I still lost ERA and WHIP. Some of the positive performances did include Zach Neto with 2 home runs and 6 runs scored, Christopher Sanchez with a win, 10 strikeouts, and a 0.0 ERA, and then Brian Wu 9 strikeouts, and Mackenzie Gore with 7. Moving on over to the other side, the negative side. I missed home runs by Christian Yelich and Sal Frelick. I missed stolen bases from Mr. Christian Yelich and Alec Burleson. I also had pitchers with ERAs between 5 and 27 and whips between 1.4 and 3.7. Some of those did include Logan Webb. Not sexy in your first game against my Yankees. Then Griffin Jackson, Brian Abreu. What were you doing? Not keeping the ball in the yard. Not keeping runs off the board. Moving on to week 2, it seemed as though it was going to be a win for me. And then my pitching on Sunday decided to be like, nah, we just gonna let you suffer. We gonna let you suck. Between Brian Abreu, Lucas Ursich, Abner Uribe, and Cade Smith, all of you gave up at least 1 run, multiple hits and walks, and you failed to pick up saves. This week's matchup came down to the very last game of the week, the Tigers and the Cardinals. I had Mr. Riley Green, who needed to get at least 1 stolen base. I almost couldn't get that without laughing. And then I had Riley O'Brien, who needed at least 1 strikeout. So I'm like, okay, I need for the Cardinals to do something. Keep it close, like 7th, 8th, 9th inning, so this guy can come in and maybe get a strikeout. Okay. Well, again, we knew Riley Green wasn't going to steal a base, and he promptly went 1 for 4. Cool. Riley O'Brien comes in. It's a 5-3 game. Cardinals are up. He gets the first guy to induce into like a ground ball. Okay, cool. Like 2 pitches in, you get 1 out. That's cool. I need you to strike someone out. So then he gets a strikeout and I win, and then I don't care what he does the rest of the time. Because I won 5-4. Woo, yeah. Some of the other guys that helped me win this week included Corbin Carroll and Matt Olson, both having 2 home runs and 6 RBIs each. Also had 5 RBIs and 3 stolen bases from Bryce Terang. Our only win of the week came from Mr. Logan Webb. Also had 3 saves from Paul Sewald and 2 each from Mr. Riley O'Brien and Cade Smith. On the other side, Nick Kurtz still not hitting the ball very well. At all, really. So that's unfortunate. And then the bullpen stunk. As due to the adds and drops, again, we have some IL spots, and we added Corbin Burns, which, again, I'm really hoping he comes back mid-year and just helps bolster my rotation. We also picked up Max Meyer, hoping to get some strikeouts, Paul Sewald, and Lucas Ursich, both for saves. On the other side, we dropped Max Meyer and Griffin Jax. Never, ever trust a Tampa Bay Rays closer or bullpen member. Before we get to the last Yahoo League, we're going to jump on over to the ESPN leagues and save the newest for last. For the Russell My Gym Jam team, we had a pretty good start to the season. Obviously wanted more wins, but we were able to come out with a 8-4 victory. In case that doesn't make sense to you, that means we had 8 wins, 4 losses, and 4 ties. This is where the fractions come into play because each tie counts for half a win. So technically, I had 10 wins on the season and 4 losses. But again, that only comes into play when it comes to tiebreakers and stuff like that towards the end of the season. 2 years ago, I lost both this league and my South Farm Institute of Technology by literally half a game because of 1 stinking loss that could have or should have been a tie. Oh my gosh. That was so 2 years ago, and we're not going to worry about it anymore. This team had a really good start to this very long week 1. We had 16 home runs, we had 42 extra base hits, we had 72 RBIs, we had a 270 batting average with a 779 OPS. What? Obviously, I was reading off a list because I had to keep looking up and down because of those numbers. But now we're going to read off this list, and I'm going to tell you who contributed so well. Sometimes I'll do this because there are so many guys that did so good for us. So we had 2 home runs each from Yandy Diaz, Mickey Moniak, CJ Abrams, and Owen Casey. That's a bad man right there. Moving on to the extra base hits. Tell me if you've heard this name before. Yandy Diaz, he had 4, along with Xavier Edwards and Owen Casey. Moving on to RBIs. Yandy Diaz had 10, Owen Casey had 9, and CJ Abrams had 8. To get to the average, we're just going to talk about the guys who had the most hits. Xavier Edwards had 16. Yandy Diaz had 15, and Brandon Nimmo had 14. Then we get to OPS, none other than Mr. Jose Altuve. He had 11 walks for us. That's great. We also had 8 saves, and we had 3 guys with 10 or more strikeouts each, and they only pitched 1 game, so that makes sense. They had a pretty good outing, right? As we move on to the not so great, it's mainly just pitchers having ERAs that unfortunately weren't sexy, but were good enough to win us, a few categories. We had a few guys with ERAs 5, 6 plus, all the way up to, when we talked about having some guys in the bullpen just absolutely blown up to like 18. Griffin Jax, Brian Abreu had 23, so that didn't help any. As we move to the adds and drops, another situation where I'm not going to read them all off, but I do want to take note that there are several IL spots. So you're going to see like Hurston Waldrop, you're going to see AJ Smith-Shawver, you're going to see Lourdes Gurriel, you're going to see some of these guys that are on the IL. They will be coming back shortly or at some point in time this year. So I'm storing them, I'm stashing them so they don't go too far away. You'll also see guys like Owen Casey, who's definitely doing well in Miami. Then you'll see several relief pitchers. Sean Armstrong is one I really like. He is going to help me. Hunter Gaddis is going to help me, obviously, when it comes to IL. So again, this is going to be a group where we have holds and saves. We need ERA and whip, but we need guys who are getting on base. So that's where David Hamilton comes in. Can steal bases as well. So again, trying to look kind of outside the box for people who you would normally pick up. Now we're going to move to one of my favorite teams, mainly just because of the name, the South Harmon Institute of Technology. I won this league last year. I'll be honest, I don't know how I won this league. It was really close in the quarters and semis, and then I absolutely blew the guy away in the finals, so I am happy with that. We started off really strong this year with 12 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties. I did not want to let this one come down to any type of question. We're getting the wins. Few saves, so technically we have again 13 wins and 4 losses, but again, I don't want to leave this up to chance. I just want to make sure we get as many wins as possible. This is another league where we have a ton of categories, and we're going to list the categories, the total numbers, and who helped us the most get to those wins. We had 15 home runs. We had 2 each from Salvador Perez, Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson, and Brent Rooker. Took Brent Rooker long enough to get started, right? Good Lord, wait till Sunday. Then we had 162 total bases, 22 from Matt Olson, 19 from Bryce During, 18 from Freddie Freeman. Then we had another 4 guys between 11 and 18, so heck yeah, guys. Then we also had 13 saves and holds, 3 each from Cade Smith, Abner Uribe, and Paul Sewald. For the negative, again, we're just going to be talking about the high ERAs. That's frustrating, but that's going to be part of it. The very first week of the year, you're not going to have the sexiest pitching, but you're also not going to have the sexiest hitting, so we're not going to blame too many people for that. As you to the adds and drops, you will see that there was a trade. It was during the draft, and that did not work out as well as the guy would have liked, or what I would have liked. I really wanted to get the guy, I think Connor Griffin. He wanted him. Or I was late getting Ozzy Albies, even though I really think, you can go back and look at the video, I definitely clicked that button. In any case, we made the trade. I got Rafael Devers and Abner Uribe, and I traded him Brian Abreu. Lopsided? Yes, it was. He probably shouldn't have made that trade, but whatever. In any case, we also picked up Paul Sewald, Lourdes Gurriel, and Hurston Waldrop. Again, storing these guys, or at least Hurston Waldrop and Lourdes Gurriel, on the IL because we want to make sure we have some guys moving forward. We have some positivity coming off the bench and maybe give us a little boost later in the season. And the last league we're talking about is also our newest league, and it is the Cucumbas. That's right. From the movie Hardball from way back in the 90s or 2000s, whenever that came out, with the original John Wick, or Keanu Reeves, however you know him. This is going to be a brand new league. It was a brand new draft, and if you went back and looked at the video, you would see that we went very pitcher heavy, super pitcher heavy, like first 6 rounds, nothing but pitchers, which I got some really good ones. Hopefully it doesn't backfire on me, but I could also see it absolutely doing so. In any case, we have already gone through 2 weeks in this league. The first week was obviously a cheapy 4-game week, and then this past week was a normal 7-day. Well, week 1, we got a cheap win. It was 6-3. I'll take it. I'm not going to complain about it. I also can't complain we lose about it because, again, it's a cheapy win or loss. We had home runs from the 2 Sal's, Sal Frelick, and Sal Stewart, Alec Bowman, Alejandro Kirk. Oh, miss him. He got hurt. We ended up having 5 wins, 3 of them from relievers. Cade Smith, Jeff Hoffman, and Mr. Chris Martin. But we also had some starting pitchers, Tariq Skubal and Christopher Sanchez, who had 0.0 ERAs. Newest, who had several saves, Cade Smith, Jeff Hoffman, and 2 from Mr. David Bednar. The only negative from week 1 is Logan Webb was not sharp against my Yankees in his first start, so double-edged short. I'm glad the Yankees won, but then I hate that he gave up a 10+ ERA. That's not great, so yikes. Glad you rebounded for week 2, which as we get into week 2, that was a normal win for us as we were able to come out on top 7-3. So our top performers include Yandy Diaz with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, Taylor Ward with no home runs, 5 RBIs, and a 430+ batting average. We did only have 2 wins this week, but it was enough to win the category. They came from Mr. Ohtani and Mr. Webb. Then we had a ton of saves, 3 from Mr. Policywald and 2 from Cade Smith and David Bednar. On the other hand, though, Mr. Policywald had a 4.90 ERA, David Bednar had a 7.71 ERA, and Chris Martin had an 18 ERA. That's not great. As due to the ads drops, again, you will see that we added guys on the IL. Corbin Burns! And because we lost Alejandro Kirk, we had to pick up Dylan Dingler, so hopefully he hits a lot of dingers. We picked up Chris Martin and Brian King for saves, holds, ERA, and maybe some cheapy wins. And on the other side, we dropped Kirby Yates, mainly because we didn't have room on the IL for Alejandro Kirk and Corbin Burns. And we also dropped Chris Martin. This has been a really good start to our fantasy season. I do not want to let this feeling go. I want to keep holding on to this and keep making the right moves. Speaking of right moves, we're now going to talk about the people I think you should add because they've had a pretty good week or first 2 weeks. Max Muncy for the Athletics. He has second, third, and short eligibility. He's hitting like 300+, and he's making some moves. I think his first home run last night with some stolen bases. Like, this guy is going to be sneaky good. I also think he's going to help once Nick Kirk starts to hit more and Jacob Wilson. Neither one of them are hitting that great so far, but hopefully the sophomore slump is not a thing for them, and they're able to start hitting and get back to the form they were before, because I have them in multiple leagues. Oof. As we do to closers, first of all, don't trust anyone for the Rays. Second of all, for the Rangers, there's no like set closer. So it could be Robert Garcia. It could be Jacob Junis. It could be Tyler Alexander. It could be Chris Martin. So it could be any of those guys. Jacob Junis got the latest one. Tyler Alexander got 2 before Robert Garcia was used in the 8th. So if you're in holds, any of those guys, if you're saves, I don't know, pick your poison. I don't know where they're going to go with that. But again, if you're in holds league, grab all of them. Well, okay, maybe not all of them, but grab maybe 2 of them. Another bullpen I think you should look at, mainly because Cade Smith is shaky, Eric Sombrowski. He is a reliever for the Indians, not the Guardians, the Indians. And yeah, he's decent. Sean Armstrong is another good guy, especially if you're in a holds league. Definitely think you should look at him. As we move to other hitters, Cam Smith is smacking the ball. Holy cow. 2 or 3 home runs, hitting almost 300 in a lineup that I didn't really think was super strong, but with Altuve having a renaissance, he's hitting 378 with a ton of walks. Yordan Alvarez doing Yordan Alvarez things. Whoa, they could be doing some stuff. Moving on to a few starting pitchers I think might be worth your while. Now, these are not going to be guys to win your league. These are going to be guys that help facilitate the wins, help facilitate not blowing up, okay? So take it with a grain of salt. Kiter Montero will be in for at least another week or 2 because of the IL stint for Mr. Verlander. Also, this is kind of shaky, I'm not gonna lie. Yikes. I don't even know if I want to say this. Andre Palante for the Cardinals. He did very well in his first start. Second start, he gave up a few more walks, gave a few more runs, but wasn't bad. That's not a sexy Cardinals team. Alec Burleson is clearly the best player on that team, so yeah, take anyone from that team with a grain of salt. The last guy I think you might want to look at, now I'm not going to put any of my trust in him, but feel free to if you want to. Taj Bradley. He's had 2 decent starts, okay? I don't trust him, but he does have strikeout potential. With the Twins, they're, again, not a sexy team. They're going to put a few runs up, if that. But until Royce Lewis learns to hit again, Luke Keeschel gets a little more under his belt, Byron Buxton comes back and then does Byron Buxton things last year and not getting hurt. That's a streamer, okay? Strictly a streamer. And that's actually going to do it. Yes, there are some other guys who are doing well, but again, I'm not trying to jump on these guys like Jose Fernandez or whatever his name was, the shortstop for the Diamondbacks. Debut, hit 2 home runs, everyone jumped on him, and guess what? He's like set out the last few games. So that's why I don't want to jump on it. In any case, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to get the season started, and I am absolutely hoping that you're excited too. I want to hear from you too. If you think I'm missing someone from my people you should pick up list, let me know, because I need just as much help as you do. I'm trying to win some ships, so let's do this together. As always, this is J-Cake, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.